These are the top Joe Rogan Experience conspiracy theories ever. Sit back and relax while we dive into some freaky stuff. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Remember that
People
the
are just
first
freaked
one I
out.
ever saw as a kid was The Shining, and that's still
Oh,
there's
that still
some
holds up.
terrifying
Still holds up.
moments.
That's an interesting one, right? Because Stephen King didn't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense because it is wildly different from it's a huge departure from the novel. So
Yeah.
I can imagine if you're an artist and then someone takes your artwork and they completely change it in many different ways.
They changed it a bunch of ways, but they kept it a bunch of ways too. It became like a collaboration between him and Kubrick because it was clearly his original idea, but
Yeah.
he wanted, I believe, Stephen King wanted that character to go crazy. He didn't want him to have this fucking edge, like right from the
Right from the beginning.
Like Jack Nicholson had an edge, like right from the beginning, and then became insane, and then became.
Well, I know what it's like, to be an alcoholic who just stopped drinking, and I think you have that edge almost from the get-go.
Yeah,
A little bit. But, I mean, Jack's Jack.
that movie was so good.
It was top 10 all-time fave for me.
That's what's crazy. It's like someone needed to tell Stephen King, like, I know it wasn't the same thing, but god damn, it was good. It was so good. Dude, when those little girls are in the hallway and the fucking blood's
Terrifying.
coming out of the elevator, holy shit, that's a good movie.
So many great moments. I love
And back then when it came out, like, people don't understand. Like, The Shining is like, what is that? 82 or something like that?
1980, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So 1980, people, you've got to understand. We're talking about a whole different world.
Yeah.
There's no special effects. If there are they're not very good. They're all like clunky
you had
looking.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, but it's
that's it.
It's clunky.
Yeah.
The special effects are clunky. I guess Empire Strikes Back is pretty fucking dope.
And then Alien was 79.
That's right. All right.
But
my
that's it.
argument's
But
falling apart.
Blade Runner was 82. So there's really not much else, though.
But
there is a
did-
lot of clunky.
So they did this movie with just all
Sets.
all of the different crazy moments, like that bathroom moment with the axe
Yes.
coming through the door. There was so many of those moments. The moment with the old lady.
Because Kubrick was a fucking master at creating suspense and using the sets and the color contrast. Like, just the color patterns are unsettling. And the fact that he used those twins they weren't twins. They were just little differences. That makes it unsettling. There's so many different ways.
Do you know he used to do complex mathematics for fun? That's how he unwind.
What a genius.
He was a trippy dude,
He is
man.
by far, I think, the greatest director of all time.
Well, he definitely is one of them, and one of the most unique ones. There's there's a crazy conspiracy theory connected to The Shining and the moon landing.
Yeah, I heard about the moon landing.
Yeah, it's all about the number on the door is the exact same amount of thousands of miles. It's 237, and it's 237,000 miles away.
I
But
heard
it also,
that,
by
but
the way, it varies. See, that's the problem with that argument, is that like the distance between the Earth and the moon is not constant. I think it moves a little bit. So I think it goes as far as 265,000 feet out, or miles rather, 265,000 miles out, and it goes to 237. But I think it varies. I think it goes like this. I think it has like an elliptical orbit around the Earth a little bit. Maybe I made that up. Is that true?
Yes, I think it sounds accurate. Sorry, I was in the middle of reading the 237 stuff.
Yeah, I heard it was
Oh.
also possibly about Native Americans, how the hotel was built on an ancient Indian burial ground, and even Shelley Duvall sort of looked Native American. You could hear Native American music playing in the opening credits.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's many layers to it.
Yeah, he's just a brilliant man. He was a brilliant man.
The little kid did have an Apollo 11 sweatshirt on.
Yeah, that's
though.
true. He did have an Apollo 11.
I mean, that's pretty
but
on the nose.
I just remember in the back room, in the stock room, there was like a can of a product with a giant. It was like Geronimo's head on there. I'm sure.
Dude, there's so much to that. There's probably many layers. I mean,
Deep.
Kubrick is not
It
going to
is
operate
deep.
on one layer.
No,
He's probably going to have
never.
a bunch of weird shit in there.
I mean, look at 2001. What a mind fuck.
Oh my God. What a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Well, there was so much of his work. And he's the guy that the conspiracy theorists, when they get the most crazy, when they really want to dive into who did it, they think it was all Kubrick. That Kubrick literally filmed the fake moon landing,
Right.
uploaded it, to the American TV satellites.
If anyone could do it, it'd be him. He'd be the guy I would get to do it.
Can you imagine if that was really what happened?
I've heard all
these years.
I remember hearing all the fucking conspiracy theorists about the Illuminati killing him because he made yeah.
Well, they were worried he was going to open his fucking mouth.
Well, he made
tell
the
about the moon landing.
Oh, no.
That's what it was.
No, because he made fucking
keep his fucking
Eyes
mouth
Wide Shut.
That too. That was his last one. They're like, enough. This guy's getting too close.
Because I think he died like a week after that movie came out.
Of course he did.
Hey, wait. This reminds me of when you talk about that island, that private island. You know, Sentinel
North
Island.
Sentinel
North Sentinel Island.
Yeah.
Planes still fly over that, or no? Are they not allowed to fly over that? Is it restricted airspace?
I don't think it's restricted. No. But you can't land there, and you can't circle.
Right.
You can't visit.
India owns it, right? Doesn't India control it?
I believe so.
Yeah, and it's like 10-mile radius. Mm-hmm. I saw a thing online that said a boat crashed there, and you could still see on Google Images the remnants of the boat.
Yeah, they came for the people in the boat too, and the helicopters got them off the boat right as the people were like pulling up in
so they lived.
rafts and shit. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, they lived, but the villagers were coming for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine stumbling across a village?
They've been fucked with sometime in the past. You know, that Commander Maurice Vidal Portman, that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Respectable Law on Twitter. He has a giant thread about it. It may be pinned on the top of his Twitter page, but explaining like one of the reasons why those people are so hostile.
Right.
And it has to do with this British explorer who was really kinky. And
he went there to fuck.
Yeah, who knows
he
what
wanted
he
fuck
did.
island.
Who knows what he did? But people got sick because of him. You know, I had this guy Graham Hancock on, and he was talking to me about all the different shit that they're finding in the Amazon and in South America, and that there used to be 20 million people that lived in the Amazon, and they died off because of sickness. They were visited mostly, like apparently Europeans, when they came in like the 1500s, they would tell these incredible stories about these huge civilizations in the Amazon. But then when explorers came back 200 years later, there was nothing there. And they were like, this is crazy. They lied. They must have lied. But it turns out they didn't lie. What happened was smallpox ran through the fucking jungle and killed everybody.
We did it.
And then the jungle just overtook these cities. And now they're finding these cities with something called LiDAR. They use these planes and they circle over this area, or helicopters, whatever the fuck they do. And they shoot this shit down, this LiDAR. It's like laser radar. And it gives you a detailed image of what's below the surface and what's there.
Shit.
And it shows them all these crazy structures, all these like roadways and irrigation systems and circles inside of a square. Like, it was villages and cities, and millions of people probably lived there.
Fuck.
And look at it. That's all the stuff they're finding now.
What?
Yeah. And all of it was swallowed up by the jungle. They think within like 100 years, it just vanished in the jungle.
Wow.
Because it's so lush and tropical down there. Dude, it was one of the most amazing podcasts I've ever done. To listening to that guy tell this story.
Right after this one, though.
No, you are the best. You're the best. But he's
this is kind of this is like the findings of Atlantis, right? Like when they started finding more and more land underground.
Have you seen this? They found traces of 5 drugs, including dimethyltryptamine, on 1,000-year-old South American ritual kit.
DMT, baby.
So that's like proof positive evidence that at least 1,000 years ago they were using ayahuasca.
Wow.
This was the drug pouch that was made from fox snouts. That sounds so crazy.
Fox nose.
It literally when you see it, it looks like a nose of a fox.
They used everything.
And the fur is still
crazy.
intact. It looks really nice.
The nose. I wonder why they do that with a fox. It's probably like some cleverness. Do you know that that's what a shaman, that's like literally what a shaman is supposed to, that's what the definition is supposed to be in certain cultures?
Huh.
Certain cultures, it's a clever fellow. That's who the shaman is.
It kind of makes sense. They are just clever fellows.
But I mean, imagine that. Like, he takes a fox, that clever little fucker. I'm going to take his face.
I want his fucking
hide my
face.
drugs in his face. Only a person would think to do something so creepy.
Hide my drugs in this
or
thing's
an
nose.
insect.
Chipmunk cheeks.
Yeah, right? That would be the
Some
good
big
move.
pouch.
Yeah, a little pouch.
Those are good pouches.
That hangs from your belt. It's just chipmunk cheeks with all your coins in it. I'm not getting in that thing. It would take a few years before I'm willing to climb into that sucker. But
So the other problem with conspiracies, just to get back to that for a moment, is the problem of anomalies. What do you do with anomalies? This is true in all science. No theory explains every single thing that's out there that we want to study. There's always going to be some like quirky thing that the main theory here that explains all these things here, it doesn't account for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, what do we do with that? Well, my joke is you assign it to a grad student. They let them figure it out. But what outsiders mistake is that, well, my theory explains this little anomaly, so therefore it should replace this theory. And so people like Neil and Sean Carroll, Lawrence Krauss, Michio Kaku has like 2 web pages. One, he has a link on his web page. If you have an alternative theory of physics, go to this page. So they go there, and it has, your theory has to explain all of these things over here that our theory currently explains, and your whatever your said anomaly is. And of course they can't. So it's not that scientists are dogmatically closed-minded to the anomalies. It's that we can't explain everything, and you don't have to do anything with that. Just leave it there. Maybe eventually they'll pile up, and there'll be a new theory, like with Einstein's relativity. Okay, there's enough anomalies here, like the orbit of Mercury and a few other things, and so we have to modify Newtonian physics a little bit. Okay, that happens. But for the most part, like, and so conspiracies are filled with these things. Like the moment something big happens, you go back and, okay, but there's this weird thing here. How do you explain that? I don't know. We don't have to explain everything.
Do you know that there's a growing movement that think that the space is fake?
Space is fake. No, this is different than the flat earthers.
Google hashtag space is fake.
Oh, no.
Hashtag space is fake. It's people that are so fucking stupid, the flat earthers kicked them out.
Oh, my God.
For real, flat earthers kicked out the space is fake people. Space is fake is,
oh my God,
they're the most skeptical.
So what would be the upper atmosphere? Would be the edge of the universe?
It's all bullshit. It's all fake.
That's the end.
And it's tied in some weird way to religion, which is really interesting because even the flat earth people, there's a tremendous amount of them that are extremely religious, and they talk about the firmament, and the Bible,
right.
and the Bible, and that this is what's really going on, is that they're trying to keep us from the knowledge that God has created this place as a very special place.
Right.
And so by pretending that it's round, they somehow or another are controlling us. They're thinking that we're not exceptional and we're not lucky. Space is fake.
They're using a video from that Ryan Gosling's movie he just made about Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon.
Yeah.
Just be like, this is, look, here's proof. This is how they fake everything.
This is fake.
It's like they're making a movie.
Because
they're literally making
the way they made the movie that's evidence that it's fake.
Because he's wearing it. I don't know if maybe this person doesn't recognize that as being Ryan Gosling right there. He's got a NASA suit on.
Maybe it's just a troll account. This is how NASA
be
fakes
that, yeah.
everything. This is the video I was talking about, guys. Now you know it's all a big act.
At Flat Earth.
Hashtag
You should,
space is fake. Click on space is fake, though.
This is what I'm on. I'm on the whole.
Yeah, but I
thread
mean, click on it because there's a bunch of other ones.
I'm on that thread.
There's a tremendous amount of people that literally believe that space is not real.
Google a video of how Buzz Aldrin and how he deals with the no moonies, that we never went to the moon. There's a video of Buzz Aldrin punching a guy.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
That guy, I had dinner with that guy.
You did?
The guy he punched, yeah. I was a firm believer that we never went to the moon.
You were?
Yeah, this is what happened. I watched that Fox documentary,
Yep.
The Moon Conspiracy Theory, Did We Go? And I was like, holy shit. Because it was on television. And this was 96, 97. I remember I went to work and I told everybody, you got to see this documentary. It's crazy. We never went to the moon. And I watched that one, and I watched this guy's, what is his name?
Bart Seibel.
Bart Seibel.
Oh, yeah.
So I had dinner with him. He absolutely believes that we never went to the moon. 100% believes it. I don't know if he still believes it. I think he's like a cab driver or something now. He was involved in the news or local television or something like that, back where he's from. Then he released a documentary called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. And in his documentary, one of the things he did have is some really interesting footage of the lunar module, where it looks like they're faking a shot of them being really far out, but then when they remove the covers from all the windows that were inside the lunar, not the lunar module, what is the one that the orbiter? It really looks like they're in low Earth orbit. And this is like the main thing pointing to that, like they couldn't get out of low Earth orbit. Then there was also the fact that they lost all of the telemetry data, which was the binary, the ones and zeros that show the position of the lunar module at every stage. There was a bunch of different things. The fact that no one wanted, especially Neil Armstrong, he became a recluse, never wanted to talk about it. You go and watch the press conference. The press conference, they look very shady. They look like they're completely full of shit.
Buzz Aldrin's not like that. He talks to everybody.
He was a drunk for a long time, though. He was very depressed and became an alcoholic after the moon landing. And the idea is that in conspiracy circles, if I'm talking as them, the idea is that he got over it after a while and needed to make a living, and now he talks about it constantly.
Okay. All right.
But Neil Armstrong never did. The thing that's compelling is that there's some faking going on. If you look at Gemini, was it Gemini 15? Michael Collins, there's an image of Michael Collins when they were testing some of the space walking stuff and some of the things that they would do to walk outside of a spaceship. They had them all strapped up with cables, and they're just experimenting with these things. They took that photograph and then blacked out the background, probably some overzealous PR agent. And
you mean when they're like in the pool in Houston?
This is it right here. Oh. So what it is like, so the first one is clearly he's in a studio and they're working on things and just trying to understand how all this stuff works. And the second one, they took the exact same photo and just reversed it and blacked out the background. And but this that doesn't mean that they didn't go to the moon. That just means that someone got a hold of some photographs and faked it. And it's way more likely that there was more of that going on than that people didn't actually go to the moon, right? I feel like we're at this cusp of something very strange happening. Like we're in the middle of it right now, but we're at the cusp of something very strange, where all it would take is one massive world event, one map to completely remap how we view each other and how we view things. It's very disconcerting to me.
It feels like without that one big world event, we're not that far away from that right now.
Right.
There are parallel universes right now that exist on things that you would have thought everyone can accept as a basic fact.
Like what?
Syria.
Yeah.
The white helmets. There are some fairly serious people saying the white helmets are, some kind of media front for Al Qaeda or Al Nusra.
Would you explain the white helmets for people?
So when there's a bombing and a building collapses, they go in and drag people out and get them medical attention as quick as possible.
And people think that they're somehow or another involved in it. They're a front.
Yeah, and the footage is faked in order to drum up sympathy for the rebel-held areas. I mean, I've heard serious people say that.
Serious people.
Yeah, not loons on Facebook. I've heard
like journalists or
yeah. I mean Seymour Hersh I think has walked it back a little bit since, but he said that in the early days.
Why do you think he believed it?
I read a really interesting article about him just a few days ago. Where was it? I forget what it was. It was the not expose, but a really good look at him. And I think he's just spent his career believing rightly that the government lies about all kinds of things. And that's got him into a point where he thinks, well, they always lie, no matter what. It's happened to a lot of journalists. Robert Fisk, Seymour Hersh, Martha Gellhorn, one of my favorite war correspondents of all time. I reread some of her stuff recently. And the first batch of war reporting she did, I think, is the best war reporting I've ever read. Spanish Civil War, Vietnam. And then she spent 25 years writing novels, and then later on wrote about, I believe it was the Yom Kippur War, and was denying that massacres had happened and saying, Arabs lie, they always lie, there was no massacre. And we now know there was a massacre, or there were massacres in the aftermath of these wars. So I don't know what happens. I mean, maybe if you just do this for too long, you just become so cynical that you're open to these things. But I'm amazed that Seymour Hersh is open to that idea.
When the very people that are calling it, the very people that have boots on the ground and that are in these war zones and calling these things, when they become cynical and they become jaded, that's when it gets really, really sketchy. And we rely so heavily on people like you. Like I'm not going over there.
Yeah.
Jamie's not going over there. Look at him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you wouldn't be able to really get, like, I know people that have gone to Venezuela and they come back and they go, I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. I don't know who to believe. I don't understand it. Venezuela is a very strange one. And I get messages all the time. And, you know, I've had Abby Martin who goes over there and she has one take on it. And I have other people that I talk to that have a different take on it. And I do not know. I don't know who to believe. And I think you'd have to go over there and you'd have to spend a lot of time to try to figure this out. And it would have to be the entire focus of your life to really try to parse it out.
I think that's true of a lot of conflicts. I mean, you know, one of the drawbacks of doing what I do is I'm covering 7 or 8 things at once. So I feel like I'm not expert enough in even Afghanistan, where I've covered that more than any other. But Venezuela is an interesting one because there's such a left-right divide on that. And if you support the opposition, then you find yourself alongside John Bolton and Donald Trump, which means that a lot of people are going to automatically attack you.
Right. Automatically. Yeah. Even if it's correct.
And I think it's, you know, we can say without a doubt that Maduro has destroyed the economy there. Maduro has imprisoned, beaten, killed journalists. There is a movement there that do want genuine elections. But some people will say, well, just because George Bush in another area or John Bolton in this area support the opposition, therefore the opposition must be illegitimate and the information coming out must be false. And I wish people did rely on people who actually went there, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like they rely on the guy behind the glass desk on the news with the loud opinion rather than the people who are actually there.
Well, we still have this idea in our head that the person who's reading the news is the authority. You know, that Don Lemon has the inside scoop, or whoever it is. You know.
And I think it used to be that those guys would spend 20 or 30 years traveling, and then they'd get the cushy job behind the glass desk in the studio. Now it seems like you can go straight to the cushy job behind the glass desk. You know?
Well, we just need someone who's relatable, who can read a teleprompter, you know, who fits the profile that they're looking for, whether it's Fox News or CNN, you know.
And also the information is there. You know, there are fantastic documentaries, articles being written about all of these conflicts.
Right.
People aren't reading them.
Well, with something like Venezuela, the real problem is you have 2 sides. You have 2 different versions of what's happening, and it's if you're not educated in that country and you don't understand their politics, it's very difficult to figure out who's telling the truth.
Yeah, same with Syria.
Yeah.
I go back and forth with conspiracies. I have a love-hate relationship with conspiracies. I love some of them. Some of them are fascinating. Some of them I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened there? You know, and then some of them I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think about it, but then I think when I had a kid, when didn't have enough time for that.
Got no time for nonsense. Time becomes very precious.
And this becomes food. How?
Yeah, exactly. Not over here worrying about the fucking Illuminati. I don't even know what that means. What's the Illuminati?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm busy. I gotta go. But I get how people get sucked into that rabbit hole. You know?
Yeah, no, I could see it.
I went into a rabbit hole the other day, but with aliens. I watched 3 alien documentaries in a row. I watched this one on Bob Lazar, who was a guy who claims that he worked at Area 51. It's very compelling, very interesting.
Is that the top? That's the one you would suggest?
Yes. That's the one I would suggest. It's called Area 51. Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers, I think it's called. It's on iTunes.
I'm going to write it down.
It's fucking good.
Take notes.
Because there's some things that this guy knew that it's almost certain that he worked where he said he worked, that he worked at Area 51. The question becomes, he told all the truth about all these things that have since been proven to be true. Weird.
So he gave first cut at those truths, right?
Yeah. Well, he did it a long time ago too. He came out about this like 30 years ago. There was Nevada.
I think
television.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Bob Lazar. He was worried about his life. Here's what happened. Apparently, the guy was working in this area doing research for whatever the government wanted him to do at Area 51. What he did there, who knows? He gets fired from this job and then takes his friends to this viewing position in the mountains where they can see them flying saucers. He was telling them, they fly them out of this base. I'm going to bring you guys. We're going to watch it. They videotaped this on old school VHS tape. You can see these flying saucers flying around Area 51. And he says these are not being piloted by aliens. These are being piloted by human beings. but that these are real devices. These things are real. It's a real vehicle, and they got this real vehicle from some other civilization from somewhere in space, and they had 9 of them. It sounds like total horseshit when you hear it. But then you watch the video, and so the questions come like, well, how did he know that they were going to be flying these things up there? How did he know they were going to do them on Wednesdays? How did he know where to be, where he could see it? How did he know? How did he know about the biometric data? How did he know about element 115? He was talking about this element, this man-made element, that it's a real element that they've now identified. But when he was talking about it in 1980, no one knew what the fuck he was talking about, or 1984, or whatever it was when he first got interviewed about this. So when this guy is bringing this stuff up today, and people are looking back at all the different things that he said that have since been proven to be true, especially the existence of Area 51, the government had to, at some point in time in the 90s, they had to say that they owned the base and say that it did in fact exist. The top secret area, or the there's a do not enter zone where they'll pull you over and arrest you if you get past a certain spot. They wanted to broaden that area so people couldn't be watching their crafts fly around like Bob Lazar was. And when they did that, when they expanded the territory, that's when they had to actually admit that the base was real. So he was proven to be correct on so many different things that he said, like he explained how they get them out there, explained what the research was, and he said that they had these things that run on they manipulate gravity in some way, and they're very small because these aliens are very small little creatures, like a child, like a 8-10-year-old child. It makes you go, what the fuck, man? Like,
and so he talked about he saw them, he knew how they operated. Wow.
The things that he knows that are true, that turned out to be true, that how could he have known them if he didn't work at Area 51, are the most compelling aspects of it. And the fact that Area 51 was, at one point in time, by the government's take, it didn't exist. And then it was like a legend. And this was when he was talking about it. And so watching this documentary and seeing this guy 30 years later still basically saying exactly the same thing, but with a bunch of things have been proven
since. Yeah, that is intense.
It's a trip, man. I mean, if the government really did at one point in time have some craft that it got from another planet, what the fuck, man? But the thing is, like, how would we take that? How do you think people would take that if they found out? How do you think they'd handle that? If they really knew there was something that was so sophisticated that it could visit us from another planet, it could be here in minutes, land in the White House lawn, do whatever the fuck it wanted to. You couldn't even shoot it with bullets.
How would people take that? I think that people would just keep going on, like with every other scare.
You think so?
Yeah, I think, okay, there could be a meteor that's supposed to hit us, right?
Right.
I mean, how would people take it? I mean, that's what they're saying. They're saying it could happen.
I think it would be a fuck fest in the streets.
Yeah, but they say it could happen. I mean, you know,
if you saw one coming.
Yeah, but I'm saying not if you saw one coming, because you don't see the alien coming. If people realize that, yeah, these guys could show up, right? I don't know. I remember the conspiracy that remember that when there would be like these booklets of like Xerox stuff going on, like the one about AIDS and stuff like that. Remember that one? Yeah, that one had been going for a while.
The AIDS conspiracy?
Dr. Strecker's memorandum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people used to hand those out, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to tell people that AIDS was a hoax.
Not a hoax, that it was like all this stuff. Remember,
that it was not a hoax,
yeah.
A government conspiracy. Yeah,
that had been way out for a while.
Yeah.
I remember I was making copies and passing along. That blew my mind.
Well, there was one doctor at one point in time that was trying to say that HIV does not cause AIDS. And we had him on way back in the day, early on. What was that guy's name? Duesberg. Dr. Peter Duesberg. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. I just remembered it. He is a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, I believe. I think he's a biologist. And his take was that HIV does not cause AIDS. That what causes AIDS is a compromised immune system, and that HIV is actually a weak virus, and it shows up in the immune systems of people that are already compromised. That's why you're finding it in these people, that it's not the cause of their immune system being compromised, it's a symptom of it. And that what these people are really dying from is their their whole system being fucked up by drugs. That either they're taking AZT, which destroys their body. You know, it was a cancer medication, like a chemotherapy that was so powerful, it was killing people quicker than the cancer was. And then they switched it over to using it with people that had AIDS. Because in the early days, they would call AIDS the gay cancer.
Right.
There was all these different, like they were trying to figure out what it was and what it did. And early on, this guy was saying this, and we had him on the podcast, and people got so mad. They were so mad, giving this guy a platform to spread his propaganda and his lies. And I was like, wow. But he is a professor, right? He has done like legitimate cancer research. He's, you know, I mean, don't you want to listen to him? And I wanted to get someone on to debate him, but nobody wanted to debate him. It was like trying to get someone to debate a Holocaust denier. Like nobody wants to give them the platform. Nobody wants to talk to them, which I understand. But those kinds of, I mean, it's very highly unlikely that all these doctors are incorrect and are hiding the fact that HIV, you know, and then now the fact that they've got these HIV medications that basically they can take people and make them HIV negative now, right? Didn't they have like a couple of people have tested HIV negative after new medications? Yeah, I don't know. I'm too stupid. Too stupid to understand what's really going on.
Yeah, that's for me. That I know that I'm not. Like when I watch some of those things, you know, some of them they'll like lead off with these statements, and we all know, and we know this. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
there's too much to know.
Yeah,
yeah. How did we get in the subject of AIDS?
I don't know. We're talking about conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah,
and that was the one that I that one when it was out back in what 89 or something, 88 when those little pamphlets were going around.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah.
Well, marijuana and conspiracies go together like cookies and milk.
Yeah,
right. There's nothing like weed that starts your gears turning, and you start thinking. That's why a lot of people start thinking conspiracies are against them too. Right? You get high and you start thinking that the world's closing in on you. Everybody's watching you. Surveillance.
But you probably don't feel like that when you get high?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I do sometimes. I kind of like it though. You know why I like it? Because it ends. And when it ends, you feel great. It's almost like a brutal brain workout. Like you go digging deep into your psyche and find out all the things you're scared of.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like it's work.
Yeah.
It's work. You've done a little work. You're like taking a look at yourself. Oh, you know, I never thought about me from that angle before.
Yeah, I like to do it on
I better
planes.
clean up my
singularity.
Yeah, clean up your shit.
You know, and it's not. We didn't make the singularity. We're a reflection of it. That's just when this particular zone or node or whatever you want to call it, it gets opened for business, so to speak.
Well, if it wanted to prepare us for abandoning life as usual, this would be a good way to start it.
Yeah.
Start it with a little pandemic, lock everybody inside for a little bit, complete upending of what's all that's normal in terms of society.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is the, and you know, I was driving over, I'm like, I want to talk about like all the different conspiracies about it with Rogan, but I don't want to either.
What kind of conspiracies? About the pandemic?
Yeah.
What are the conspiracies you're hearing other than 5G?
5G, comet impact.
Comet impact?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Well, well, you're definitely not my wife, because I've mentioned it so many times to my wife. She's like, Duncan, please don't. Do you like
Isn't
every
there one that
day?
was supposed to fly by? Like there's a meteor that's supposed to fly by in the next short amount of time?
Yeah. I mean, check out Reddit Conspiracy. My conspiracy friends, I'm not even going to attempt to give the download on it, because like y'all have done a pretty good job of putting all the pieces together out there, whether they're real or not. I don't fucking know, but I enjoy reading them late at night, and they've been giving me terrible dreams. But the asteroid theory is that okay, so we want to have, by we I mean they want to have maximum survivability for the planet. They're not out to like. They don't want people to die. They're not trying to. It's not a bioengineered thing that's designed to like cull the population, which is another of the theories. But rather, there was a plan, which is like, what's our plan if we do see a meteor is going to impact the planet? What's our plan? Do we let people know that the meteor is going to impact? Well, it depends. Like if an astronomer that's not connected to one of our labs or whatever sees it, they're going to let people know. And then, you know, so that's a whole different, I think, method of like reacting. But what if we see a thing that they don't know about? And there's some probability, even a 20% chance the thing impacts the Earth, right? Or there's some cosmic event maybe we're not even aware of, like the sun doing some weird shit that we don't even know happens because it's so deep. It's like deep data, right? So maybe it's not an asteroid, it's a cosmic event that's approaching, right? And so there's got to be a plan. And it's like, well, if we just tell people that the sun's going to do like a mild blip, which is going to destroy all satellites and destroy all GPS, and just that alone would cause runs on the bank, mass panics, and people would start looting and shit. And that's not, you don't want that, because the idea is like, we want them to hole up in their houses till the shit passes so we get maximum survivability. And so the whole pandemic, this is a conspiracy theory, not real. The whole pandemic was a plan to get people to go inside, store up food, get them off the roads, and wait for this, whatever this event is, to pass. And as soon as the event passes, you'll find that it's all of a sudden it's like, what do you know? The curves are all dropping off. What do you know? And then we'll all be back because the thing they were worried about didn't happen. Also, it could be a test for that, so that.
Can I just stop you? Because
Please
it's so
stop
dumb.
me.
It's hard to believe.
Thank you.
There's a real virus. They can.
Dude, I
They
know.
can image it.
But
I know what it looks like. They've been able to test for it, antibodies.
I feel like
test for a live
I feel like
version
I'm
of the
talking to my
virus.
wife.
It's a real virus. It's a confusing virus.
It's so good that I married the person I married, because if not, I would probably be digging a hole to crawl into out of pure paranoia, because she does do this to me. She's like, Duncan, do you think there isn't a COVID virus? You think there's no virus out there? Do you think that maybe so all the scientists that have identified COVID are all part of this thing to keep us from the meteor thing? And then I'm like, thank you. Because I'll start getting freaked out from it, but I'll